A new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll reveals what Americans think of how President Trump is handling the COVID-19 pandemic. A majority of Americans disapprove of Trump's approach, just 44% approving, and that is down slightly from last month. Americans are also saying they don't trust Trump when it comes to the pandemic, 52% saying they don't trust the president's statements about the coronavirus. When it comes to the 2020 race, more Americans think that Joe Biden is better equipped to handle a crisis.
The president is supposed to take care of things. And he says, I take no responsibility for that. It's not my fault. It's somebody else's fault. He's doing the exact, I know this sounds sort of strange, but he's doing the exact thing we teach our kids not to do. Blame somebody else. Not me, the other guy. Not me, the other guy. I mean, this is the president of the United States.
Meanwhile, on the economic front, 45% of Americans now view the economy as poor. That is a big jump from the end of March when the pandemic was really starting to take hold. That was 22% at the time. Just to show you how times have changed, the number was 14% in December. In December, just 14% of Americans thought the economy was poor. Nonetheless, more Americans, 58% versus 32%, believe that the economic impact is not as important as the human toll, and they back the shelter-in-place measures. Nearly 750,000 Americans have now been diagnosed with COVID-19, and more than 38,400 Americans have died, according to NBC News' ongoing count. Those numbers continue to rise, and it continues to take an immense toll on those who are tasked with taking care of us.
What's happening now is that we become desensitized to it, and that causes a lot of worry for me, only because desensitization leads to apathy, and that's a very dangerous place to be in healthcare, especially when you're taking care of patients' lives. This is a parent who died. This is a loved one who moved on. It is important to remind ourselves that it is empathy that drives a healthcare provider to be the best that they can be.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.